You are watching part 4 of the full series of Java Spring Boot interview questions. These are the 5 questions we are going to discuss in this session. What is the purpose of the SpringApplication.run method? What is Spring Boot CLI? How does Spring Boot handle data validation? What is the purpose of the @request mapping annotation in Spring Boot? How does Spring Boot integrate with containerization platforms like Docker and Kubernetes? First question. What is the purpose of the SpringApplication.run method? The SpringApplication.run method is used to bootstrap and launch a Spring Boot application. It is typically invoked from the main method of the application's entry point class. The run method initializes the Spring application context, performs auto-configuration, starts the embedded server, and starts the application lifecycle. It returns an instance of the application context, allowing access to the application context and its beans. Second question. What is Spring Boot CLI? Spring Boot Command Line Interface (CLI) is a command line tool that you can use to run and test Spring Boot applications from a command prompt. It provides a fast way to get Spring applications up and running. The CLI incorporates Spring scripts into the Unix-based shell to launch the boot applications. Some of the advantages of using Spring Boot CLI are: first, it allows you to write your application using Groovy, which is a more succinct and expressive alternative to Java. Second, it automatically includes useful external libraries whenever possible. For example, if you're writing a web application and importing classes such as a REST controller, the CLI will automatically provide a dependency for Spring MVC. Third, you can use various commands for different operations like run to run the application, test to test the application, jar to create a jar file, init to create a basic Java or Groovy project, etc. Third, how does Spring Boot handle data validation? In Spring Boot, data validation can be performed using various mechanisms. One common approach is to use the validation annotations provided by the Bean Validation API, such as @NotNull, @size, and @pattern on the fields of model objects. By including the necessary validation annotations, Spring Boot automatically validates the input data and generates validation errors. These errors can be handled using binding result or errors objects. Additionally, custom validation logic can be implemented by creating custom validation classes and methods. Next question. What is the purpose of the @request mapping annotation in Spring Boot? The @request mapping annotation is used to map HTTP requests to specific handler methods in a Spring Boot application. It is applied at the method or class level to define the URL patterns that should trigger the execution of the annotated method. @request mapping allows developers to specify various attributes, such as the HTTP method, GET, POST, etc., request parameters, headers, and more to further refine the mapping. Next question. How does Spring Boot integrate with containerization platforms like Docker and Kubernetes? Spring Boot integrates seamlessly with containerization platforms like Docker and Kubernetes. You can package a Spring Boot application as a Docker image by creating a Docker file that includes the necessary dependencies and configurations. The image can be built and deployed to a containerization platform like Docker Swarm or Kubernetes. Spring Boot also provides features like externalized configuration and health indicators, which can be leveraged by container orchestration platforms for efficient management and scaling of the application. Hope you have learned something and feel confident to answer the questions we discussed so far. Here is the list of questions that will be discussed in the next session. Please check out our playlist for more questions and subscribe our channel for updates and notifications. Good luck for your upcoming interviews.